The Sumerian Genesis, a journey into the birth of civilization. The ancient land of Sumer, nestled between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in modern-day Iraq, was home to the world's first known civilization. Flourishing around 4000 BCE, the Sumerians laid the foundations for nearly every aspect of the future human story. From writing to laws, urban development to art, and most importantly, religion and mythology. Their influence can still be felt today, but perhaps the most enduring aspect of their culture is their creation myth, their Genesis story, that paints a vivid picture of the Sumerian view of the world and humanity's place within it. This documentary takes us on a journey through the Sumerian creation myth, exploring not only the mythology itself, but also its implications on their culture, and how it echoes throughout later myths, including those found in the Bible and the epic tales of the ancient Greeks. 1. The land between rivers, the cradle of civilization. Our story begins in what the Greeks would later call Mesopotamia, meaning the land between the rivers. These rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, provided the fertile soil that allowed civilization to blossom. Around 4500 BCE, small agricultural communities began to form, eventually giving rise to the cities of Uruk, Eridu, Lagash, and others. But these weren't just cities. They were the world's first urban centers, characterized by monumental architecture, organized government, and advanced systems of writing and record-keeping. However, the most significant aspect of these early cities was their religious nature. The city of Uruk, for example, was dominated by a massive ziggurat, a temple that was the center of both civic and spiritual life. Each city-state was seen as belonging to a patron deity, a god or goddess who had created, protected, and nurtured their city. This intertwining of religion and daily life is where the Sumerian creation myth begins. 2. The creation of the world, chaos and order. The Sumerians believed that the world began in a state of chaos, a formless void known as Abzu, the primeval sea. From this watery abyss emerged the gods. In Sumerian mythology, the gods represented various forces of nature, each embodying different aspects of the cosmos. The first deities to emerge were in the sky, Ki, the earth, Enlil, the wind, and Enki, the god of wisdom and water. At the center of the creation story is Anu, a later version of An, the sky god who was the supreme ruler of the pantheon. Alongside him were Enlil and Enki, whose interactions would shape the destiny of the earth and its inhabitants. Together, these gods brought order to the chaos of the primordial sea, separating the heavens from the earth and establishing the balance that would allow life to flourish. Enlil, the god of air and storms, was particularly important in this early cosmic order. He was a powerful, sometimes capricious deity who ruled the land between the heavens and the earth. Enlil is credited with bringing forth the forces of nature necessary for life: wind, rain, and storms. However, he also wielded the destructive aspects of these elements, capable of wreaking havoc if angered. 3. The birth of humanity, created to serve the gods. Once the world had been ordered, the gods turned their attention to a significant problem: the maintenance of the world they had created. The Sumerians believed that the gods were powerful but required help in sustaining the earth and their temples. It was for this purpose that humanity was created. The creation of humanity in the Sumerian myth is somewhat practical and straightforward. The gods, weary of maintaining the universe, sought a solution to their burdens. In one version of the myth, the goddess Ninhursag, also called Ninmah, the mother goddess, plays a central role. Together with Enki, the god of wisdom, Ninhursag molds humanity from clay, imbuing them with life so that they could take on the task of labor and care for the earth. The Sumerians saw themselves as co-workers with the gods, not equals but necessary servants. They were created to tend to the fields, feed the animals, and, most importantly, build and maintain the temples where the gods were worshipped. Humanity's purpose was deeply intertwined with the divine. Their labor on earth was a reflection of the gods' work in the cosmos. Interestingly, this idea of humanity being created to serve the gods bears similarities to later myths from other cultures. The biblical account of Adam and Eve, for example, shares striking parallels, with man being fashioned from the earth, or clay, and given the task of tending to the Garden of Eden. 4. The flood. the cleansing of humanity. One of the most famous Sumerian myths is the story of the Great Flood, a tale that would later echo in the Epic of Gilgamesh and the biblical story of Noah. In the Sumerian version, the gods grow displeased with humanity. Over time, the labor they had created humanity to perform became a burden to them, as the humans multiplied and became noisy. The gods, particularly Enlil, became irritated by the constant clamor of humanity, disrupting their divine peace. In response, Enlil decided to send a great flood to wipe out humanity. However, one god, Enki, did not agree with this decision. Enki, the god of wisdom and water, had a soft spot for humanity. He decided to intervene by warning a human hero, Zayusidra, or Utnapishtim in later versions. Enki instructed Zayusidra to build a massive boat and gather his family, animals, and seeds on board. When the floodwaters came, Zayusidra's ark floated above the chaos, saving him and his family from annihilation. After the flood subsided, Zayusidra made a sacrifice to the gods, and the deities, now realizing their mistake, allowed the floodwaters to recede. Enlil, although initially wrathful, eventually repented, granting Zayusidra eternal life and allowing humanity to repopulate the earth. The flood myth, which originated in Sumer, profoundly influenced the mythologies of other ancient cultures. The story of divine wrath and eventual reconciliation with humanity echoed across Mesopotamia and into later civilizations. 5. The gods and kings, a divine mandate. The relationship between the Sumerian gods and humanity wasn't just one of servitude. It also involved guidance, kingship, and law. The gods bestowed kingship on human rulers, granting them the divine mandate to rule their cities. The first kings were seen as intermediaries between the gods and the people, responsible for maintaining the cosmic order and enforcing divine laws. The most famous of these kings was Gilgamesh, the semi-divine king of Uruk, whose epic tale has survived as one of the oldest pieces of literature in human history. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, we see the profound influence of the gods on the lives of kings and mortals alike. Gilgamesh, though powerful, must confront the limits of his mortality and the will of the gods. Sumerian kings were not just political leaders. They were spiritual figures tasked with ensuring the gods were honored and appeased. This connection between religion and kingship became a hallmark of the Mesopotamian world and later influenced other cultures, from the pharaohs of Egypt to the divine right monarchs of medieval Europe. 6. Legacy of the Sumerian Genesis. The Sumerian creation myths laid the groundwork for many of the world's later religious and mythological traditions. As the earliest recorded civilization, Sumer's influence spread throughout Mesopotamia, impacting the Akkadians, Babylonians, Assyrians, and beyond. The biblical book of Genesis, with its themes of creation, the flood, and humanity's relationship with the divine, shares many thematic similarities with the Sumerian myths, suggesting a direct or indirect cultural transmission over centuries. The Sumerians viewed their gods as deeply intertwined with the natural world, embodying the forces of nature that dictated the rhythms of life. This view of the divine as both creators and destroyers, benevolent and wrathful, resonated across the ancient world, becoming a universal narrative in the development of early religious thought. But beyond mythology, the Sumerians also contributed tangible advancements that would influence the future of human civilization. Their invention of cuneiform writing, legal systems, such as the Code of Uar-Nammu, and their sophisticated understanding of astronomy, mathematics, and architecture all helped shape the trajectory of human history. 7. Conclusion: echoes through time. The Sumerian Genesis is not just a story of gods and humans, but of the human journey to understand its place in the cosmos. The Sumerians' relationship with their deities reflects humanity's eternal struggle to find meaning in a vast and often chaotic world. In their myths, they sought to explain the mysteries of life, the origin of the universe, and the role of mankind. As we explore the ruins of Sumer cities and study the ancient tablets that have survived millennia, we uncover a worldview that resonates deeply with the human experience. A desire to understand our origins, our purpose, and our connection to something greater than ourselves. In the end, the Sumerians, in crafting their Genesis story, became the architects not just of their own world, but of much of what was to follow in human civilization. Their legacy is the story of all humanity, a tale of creation, destruction, and the search for meaning. The echoes of their genesis reverberate through history, reminding us of